I'm Helene.
And I'm Penelope.
And we're here to talk about these tips and tricks for tricky times because Lord knows we've been through it and it's been a rough ride for us all. We're a mother-daughter duo and we wanted to share some things with you. Today we want to talk about respect.
Yeah.
It's a really big topic.
It is.
I think that your generation has grown up in a very permissive parenting time, whereas our parents in my generation were much more strict. And you weren't supposed to question them. You weren't supposed to talk back. You certainly weren't supposed to cuss. I mean, there were all these things that, of course, we did, but we weren't supposed to do, and it was pretty severe. Like, we actually had to answer the phone, Penelope, and we'd just say, hello, the Leeds residence. And they'd say, oh, is Priscilla home? And you'd say, no, I'm sorry, she's not. May I take a message? Like, you had a whole etiquette. Or, hello, is that Helene? I'd be like, this is she. Yeah, like call waiting. Like, I'm just saying there's like all these different levels of etiquette. And I think that your generation, do you know what I mean when I say permissive parenting?
No.
Like, there's this idea that you shouldn't say no to your children. And a lot of parents did that.
Right. Oh my gosh. So we actually know people who've done this, who've
Yeah.
said yes to everything, and their children are
Out of control.
out of control. I mean, they're doing things that you would be like, what? What are they doing? You let them do that? You support them doing that? And they're like, yeah.
So-
And I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I don't want to be judgy or gossipy. It's just that when we talk about respect, it's been a two-way street. And I don't know that I've really set boundaries well. I'm not really great at setting boundaries. Actually, I think you've taught me more about setting boundaries than I could have ever learned any other way, except for being your mom. Because, kids will push and push and push and push, and it's our job to draw the line in a way that is kind but also clear. And I don't know that we do that very well, to be honest. In general, as humans, with each other, let alone with our children.
Yeah.
And so there probably were times I could have put in stronger boundaries. And then there were other times where I was like, okay, I'm just going to trust her. And I may have done that too soon on some things.
I mean, I live with this theory that, like, regret nothing. So, like, I feel like everything you did for a reason, even if you didn't see the reason at the time. And I feel like it benefited me no matter what. So I think that's, like, really important to preface, So it all happened the way it did for a reason. And I wouldn't be who I am today if you hadn't done the things you did. I do...
Can you be specific? Sorry.
Wait, like, how specific?
Like an example. Can you give an example? Because it sounds kind of
She made
hypothetical.
me do chores, for example. A lot of chores.
Oh my gosh, you hated it.
I hated chores so much.
I have to clean the toilet? What? I'm like, yes. Yes. Yeah.
It was disgusting. I had to clean the bathroom every Sunday.
It wasn't my toilet,
Top to bottom, bathroom, scrub, clean, wipe. Oh.
Your bathroom, not my bathroom. I didn't make you do mine.
Yeah. No, I was, and to put in retrospect, I also know, guys, anyone watching, I know there have been way worse chore duties than the ones that I had, but I'm just putting in preface, where I lived, in the way I grew up, that was like a lot. Like, no kids had to do that where I lived. So for me, it was a big deal there. Just preface that. And it was disgusting. And you know what? I hated it, but then I went to my friend's house the week after, and she didn't know how to clean her bathroom. And I was like, you don't know how to clean your bathroom? Your parents don't make you clean your bathroom? She's like, no, like, we don't have to do anything. And I'm like...
Statistically, if your kids know how to do chores, they're way more functional people. They do better in their work, career advancement. And so chores are actually extremely important. But oh my gosh, it took me so much courage, so much persistence, so much consistency to really force you to do chores. It was not easy. Like, it wasn't even a question, like, when I grew up. We had to do our chores. Like, we also didn't get paid for it. Wink, wink. I mean, it was like...
I had to buy real estate somehow.
Well, yeah. But allowance and earning that allowance, so I feel like this is just one example of, like, earning respect and being treated with respect. It wasn't like I was asking you to scrub the floors, clean my bathroom, and I was, like, eating bonbons on the couch all day. Like,
right, that's true.
I was doing the floors and you were doing the floors.
But it didn't make it less annoying.
I know, but like Tuesdays you did it, Thursdays I did it, you know? Yeah, so what I'm trying to communicate is that sometimes parents don't respect their kids. They don't treat them like they are worthy. They don't treat them like their opinion matters. And they don't trust them. And maybe the child hasn't earned the trust. Like, for example, there were some things in our relationship where you broke my trust. because you gave me your word on something, or maybe you took something without asking. And then I said, well, we have to rebuild our trust now.
I hated when she said that.
Yeah, it was
But you know what? The thing is, the fact that she said that taught me a lot of value-based learning. So I learned a lot about values. So the reason she values people being their word was because if they're not their word, she can't trust them. And I put 2 and 2 together a lot later on. But if she hadn't had that system with me, I wouldn't have respected her, and I wouldn't have respected myself.
That's interesting.
And I wouldn't have looked at people that way in the world. I would have just thought, oh, they weren't their word, wah. And I actually, even saying this right now, I'm starting to realize like all the people that I know who do think that way might have not had a mom like you who said, hey, you're not your word. Like, we have to work on this because it's not okay. And I feel like if you're afraid to speak up to your child about that, you're going to that's harmful for them. So I'm actually so thankful for all of that. Because and the cleaning too, like cleaning is so important. Like now I'm like a pro cleaner and everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're like the best. Like I was the best nanny because I did all the cleaning. I'm the best house guest because I do all the cleaning. Everyone like loves me because I'm so cleanly. Like they're like, oh my gosh, like you do such a great job.
You're not OCD, are you though?
No.
Because I'm definitely not OCD.
I don't say I'm OCD, but I love a clean space. Like I love me a good clean space.
You are really organized. Yeah, and I think also some of the schools you went to helped you to get organized because
Send your kids to Montessori Manor.
Yeah, Montessori school was amazing.
Yeah.
It was really helpful in structuring that.
Yeah.
But there are also like family values that we have that, for example, like we don't steal or we don't, like if you're a representation of our family. Now, some of you listening might really disagree with this. But there were some things, throughout your childhood that you were testing. Like, oh, can I dress like this out in public? Can I speak like this out in public? Or, like different things like, well, if I do this, it might actually impact my mom. Now, this is where I think the wires get crossed. Because a lot of parents identify through their children. And what I mean by that is like, oh, if Johnny is beating up Sam, then it means I am a bad parent. So they make their children's behavior mean something about them. And I think it's hard for us not to take those things personally, but I think it's actually quite harmful. And I used to call myself out. I'm like, Penelope, I don't want you to do this because it makes me look bad.
Oh my gosh, I would get so angry when you said that. And she said that a lot. And I was like, and I remember telling you, why do you care what they think about you? And you would be like,
good point.
You wouldn't even say that. You'd just be quiet. And I remember always asking you that, drilling you on that, and you just wouldn't say anything. And it really started to strike something in me. I'm like, why does she care what people think about me? Yeah. Like, I'm her daughter. She should love me for who I am.
And I did.
She created me. Like, why doesn't she just accept me? And I think that also puts this, and correct me if I'm wrong, daughters, but it puts this emphasis okay, you think you're better than me and you think that I should be more like this, and that's not me, and you don't accept me, so now I'm gonna hide from you because I don't feel accepted by you. I don't feel heard by you, so I'm gonna run away from you now. I'm not gonna talk to you. I'm not gonna open up to you, and our relationship is now damaged.
Okay, this is huge. Pause. So big. The moment you lose your dialogue with your child is a very dangerous time, because where else can they be themselves? Where else can they go for advice? Where else can they get protection? Where is their safe space if they no longer have you?
Right.
So you just landed a big gem.
Yeah.
That was really, really, really important, because there was a time where I was like coming down hard on you, and I was taking away, things that weren't even related to the whatever crime. It's not really crime, but we had house rules, then maybe you decided to do something different than the house rules, and then there's a consequence. Just like in life, if there aren't consequences for our kids, then that's also not okay, because then I would be a pushover if I didn't reinforce a consequence. And it's so hard to reinforce a consequence, by the way. So hard. So I used to make you make up the consequence.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I would make up the consequence that I'd get to I don't know, what do you remember one of them?
I don't know. We had no screen time after a certain hour.
9 p.m. I remember no phones after 9 p.m.
Yeah.
So she'd come in and take my phone, take my iPad, take my computer out of my room, and I'd literally have to go to sleep. Now I go to sleep at 8:30. So it's like I think that's so funny to me, like how way we changed from when we were young to old. It's so funny to me.
It's so funny.
But it's also good that she did that, because how would I have ever thought to go to sleep at 8:30 if she didn't show me, hey, no phones. Now I'm like, right, blue light before you go to sleep isn't a good thing. Like,
Right.
if you can make the things you do a learning lesson and even look at it like, oh, in 10 years this is going to benefit her in this way.
Yeah.
Then it makes sense. Because then even if your child is like, oh, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
You can say, in 10 years, you'll understand why. Or read this article. You know what I mean? Like, you can make it an education point.
What about the food thing? Like, because I would try to educate you about like 5 a day. You know, you got to get like, like by the time dinner came around, you'd be like, oh, I want pasta. And I'll be like, oh, well, what did you have for lunch? And you'd be like, oh, I had a sandwich or pizza or something. And I'd be like, well, we probably need some vegetables because we haven't had enough vegetables today. Like, do you think that was helpful or harmful?
Harmful, because I never followed it. And I think it would have been better if there was just like a balanced, I think if there was just more balance in the kitchen in general, I think you wouldn't even have had to say that.
Well, so here's the question. Like, were you too young to be making those decisions? Should I have made those decisions for you? Like, we're having broccoli for dinner. There's no discussion. Like, some parents would have been like, why are you talking about that with your kid? Like, whatever's served, they eat.
Right, and I agree with that, actually. I do agree. Like, the mom and the dad, like, they provide the money and the food, and they cook that. So, like, that's what you get. I think growing up not having any negative food in the household and then going in the real world where there is a lot of, like, processed bad food for you, bad, whatever, not good for you food, is so, it's like, it's too black and white for a child. So if you grow up in that and then you have this whole world around you where it's like you can't have that either, it's like, okay, I'm in a box. Okay, when you're not in a box, when no one's watching, okay, let me eat all this stuff. You know, I don't know if it's a psychology thing. I don't know if it's a physiology. Like, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I know that it happened to me. And I think that, and I know that really harmed me.
Yeah. Yeah, so in a way, I thought I was respecting you. And I think it was actually giving you too much responsibility too soon for something that I should have just been more clear about. I was trying to use it as a learning opportunity, and it definitely didn't work out the way I thought it would, which was what we do as parents. We kind of mess up. We try our best, but we're going to mess up.
And it felt restrictive, too. Like, it really felt restrictive. So.
Sorry.
Yeah. But, you know, that's another topic.
I mean, like, so you lose respect, you know, when you lie or you cheat or you steal, right?
Yeah.
If a parent does it to a kid or a kid does it to a parent. Now, parents do it all the time to their kids, especially parents who are overbearing and they don't have a life outside of their kid, then they can tend to, like, steal from their kid, and that can make the kids really angry. And so it's not always so apparent that there's, like, lying and cheating and stealing. It could be also, like, very nuanced. So that's something to be aware of as parents, like if you really want to clean up your act, so to say, you know, so you can improve your relationship, because I think that our relationship with our kids is really important. Perhaps one of the most important things outside of our relationship with ourselves.
Yeah.
Family is really a top value for me and for
me. Totally.
Yeah, it's really important to work on those relationships.
Totally.
So when we break trust, for example, like maybe I broke your trust at some point, or maybe you felt so disrespected by me. Were there times that you felt really disrespected by me?
Yeah, I mean, like, there was one time you said, I don't know if you want me to. You said, I wish I never had you, and you were really, really angry in that moment. And you never said that again, but that was my biggest fear, that you would say that to me. And you said that to me, and I literally was so upset. Not only did I feel disrespected, but I was...
Stupid things you say when you're angry.
I was so hurt.
Do you remember what was happening then? I don't even remember what was happening
then.
I
remember what was happening.
What was happening?
I'm not exposing myself. I'm not exposing myself. It was one of the worst things a kid could do to their parents.
Oh.
But it was so painful.
I'm sorry.
It was like, because you created me, so it was like...
Yeah, that's not cool. Don't ever say that to your kids.
Don't ever say that to your kids, ever. I remember it to this day.
I'm sorry.
And I should not remember it.
I'm so sorry.
So that was the most disrespectful thing you said to me ever.
That's pretty bad. I'm like getting uncomfortable. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that was bad.
And I think that kids, I mean, they push the boundary, but I don't know if you could call it, I guess you could call it disrespectful. Like if they talk to us disrespectfully, or they don't respect our rules, or they don't respect our boundaries, or they don't respect like spending, limits and things like that, because I feel like it's a constant test from parent to child and child to parent in setting boundaries, showing respect, and then, reinforcing consequences around boundaries that we do set. Because you set boundaries also for me, like, hey, do not come in my room. Or hey, and it's tricky because I don't look at my phone. Well, it's like, well, we pay for the phone. The phone is a privilege. Like, do I have the right to look at your phone? Do I not have the right? I mean, I would say yes, we do have the right. Especially because like it's so sketchy with all the like stuff going on.
I think
That's an understatement.
I think look at the phone, but like don't make it so it's like, oh my gosh, you can't do this, you can't write that, because like kids do need to like experiment a little bit in order to know what's right and wrong to do.
Well, what about like pornography? Like a lot of kids.
That should be blocked. Pornography should be blocked. Actually, it shouldn't even be legal in America.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be legal in America to have that, but it should be blocked. There's like a restriction you can do on people's phones.
Right, but
that should be blocked.
Right, but I mean, a parent wouldn't know their kid was looking at pornography.
You should just assume that it's on your phone and that it's being advertised to your children, because that's what those companies
terrifying.
do.
So it's like on the one side, we need to protect our children and check their phone. On the other side, it feels kind of disrespectful.
And just think about it in a logical way. No emotions tied to it.
Right. Yeah.
Just like
you just can't unsee stuff.
People advertise things to my children. I'm going to block everything that could be advertised that's like that, Like,
yeah, it's gotten a lot easier. It was complicated when it just came out when you were really young.
Yeah. I remember that. She had like the apps on my phone, and I couldn't like use certain apps at school. Like I'd go in school and touch an app, and it'd be like blocked all day until this time, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" But
is that disrespectful?
No, it's not disrespectful. It was just annoying.
Okay. No, because this is like, but that's what I mean in the nuance of respect. It's like I had to earn Penelope's respect by showing up, not a hypocrite, by showing up and like honoring my word to you.
Yeah.
And like being on time and like being a good mom.
Yeah.
To the best of my ability. And you earned my respect by, showing up and I don't know, just being you, but it took some time.
Well, also proving to you that I can like figure my own things out, like do things on my own, and like I can be trusted doing things on my own,
and that requires a lot of faith for us parents, because we have to let them be okay letting them fail, but if you don't fail when you're at home in the safety of home, then you could fail a lot bigger and more dangerously.
That is really important. She let me fail at home in a lot of ways, and I would encourage to make your home a safe place, because if my home wasn't a safe place, I think I would have gotten in a lot worse situations than I've been in. So I'm actually so grateful that you allowed our home to be a safe place for me, my friends, like all the weird, stupid, dumb things I did. I'm so glad I did it at home and not like on the side of the street or at a mall or somewhere that I could be abused or taken advantage of. And so I'm actually really grateful for that.
It's illegal though,
I know it's illegal, but
like a lot of the stuff that parents could allow at their homes, they could actually get arrested and their children get taken away from them. I mean, it's such a hard balance.
It's super hard, I know.
But respect is absolutely important, and it's an ongoing practice of give and take, follow through. Yeah. And were there things that I did that made you respect me more or less?
I think what made me respect you more was, I've always respected you because a part of you working, like just being very committed to your work, really showed me like, oh, I need to be committed to my work as well. Like doing work and being a hard worker and a smart worker is really important in this world. And so I would like to like take upon that. And so I've been able to apply a lot of the things I just see you in action doing. And that has really gained me having respect for you because I've seen you doing those things. So just by you being yourself has given me respect for you, because like that's just what you do. That's just what we do, right? Like that's just like a family value. We work hard, we work smart, and we are productive human beings. And we don't like half do things or a quarter do things. Like we do things to the fullest.
Yeah.
And so that gained me a lot of respect for you.
All right, so leading by example.
Totally.
Yeah, a lot of parents will say, well, I tell my daughter to do this, or I tell my son to do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
No, you have to actually eat healthy food. You have to actually exercise yourself. You have to actually like show up, kind. You have to actually speak nicely, but clearly, and not like play games and not manipulate. Like if you don't want your kids to do stuff, you have to be the example.
And that's the biggest thing. Like you would always tell me like, oh, like sweetie, you're so beautiful, or you're whatever, you're so this. And I'm like, what? Why are you saying that to me? You don't believe that about yourself. So why did you, like at that time she had a lot more negative self-talk. And I was like, why are you telling me to love myself? When you look in the mirror in the morning, you tell me that you don't like the way you look. That's not gonna work. Especially if you truly as a mom or a dad feel like you're insecure, your kids can feel it without you even saying anything. So I just you have to do the work on yourself, because until she did the work on herself and looked inside and said, I need to start loving myself more or else my daughter's gonna be miserable for the rest of her life, was accurate.
Wow, it's really big. I'm just gonna take that in.
Take it in.
No, it's really meaningful. They can be our greatest teachers if we allow it. I think that we have children to learn what love really is, to be able to experience it. Like my love for you, Penelope, is like bigger and greater than anything I could have ever known. It's different than love for my mom or for my boyfriend or whomever. Like it's really different. So, yeah. And
I feel like a daughter's love for her mom is also different than like any love she has for a friend or a boyfriend or a family member. Like it's just different. It's like, it's my girl. Like, it's my girl. You know what I mean? Like,
and it's that balance of like being friends and also being your mom.
Oh yeah, that's really important.
Yeah, that's
very
that balance.
Important. Don't be too either or.
Right? It's so true. You make me cry. Yeah, but they're our greatest teachers. Yeah. Thank you, Penelope.
Thank you.